we must remember that African leaders are going through a very difficult time. Most of them are crying out for help, and we are not listening to them. Our leaders are captured and are being held hostage. But because we are too consumed with omunye pezkomunye, we are not listening to them. Our leaders sign secret deals for protection with those who rule and control the world. But because we are too consumed with omunye pezkomunye and global citizen, fill up FNB, we are not listening to them. Joseph Kabila came to power on the back of the assassination of his father. When his father was assassinated, those who had masterminded the assassination of his father propelled him to the seat of presidency to take over from his father. Since then, the DRC has never known peace. Why has peace eluded the DRC? It's because those who are interested in controlling and looting the resources of the country do not want peace to prevail in the DRC. They have got a lot to lose if DRC achieves peace than if DRC is destabilized as it is today. Yeah. The United Nations has got nothing to benefit from peace. That's why all the armed groups that are terrorizing the DRC, that are controlling the areas where these minerals resources are found, are supplied, are funded by the same organizations we have lived to trust and believe in for so many decades. The United Nations has got a MONUSCO. This is the peacekeeping mission in the DRC. There are 3 SADC countries that have sent their sons and daughters to the DRC for 5 decades to maintain the peace, to keep the peace in the DRC. These 3 nations are South Africa, Malawi, and Tanzania. Our sons and daughters keep on dying, they keep on being ambushed, they die unnecessary deaths in the DRC because the multinational corporations that are benefiting from the extraction and looting of resources in the DRC do not want the DRC to achieve peace because they stand to lose by the DRC achieving peace than the way it is now, where we find that the DRC is destabilized. So as black people, we must wake up from this slumber of, I don't know if it is hallucinations or because we have been so indoctrinated in believing that the United Nations is there to save us, that the African Union is there to save us, that the international community will come to our aid when things go sour. These organizations exist to perpetuate and protect the interests of the same power oligarchs that have been controlling and owning the resources of the world.
And having said that, Edward, are you of the view that a new dawn is now beckoning in the DRC?
I don't know what you mean by the new dawn, because Joseph Kabila has got 2 choices. He always had 2 choices to make: toe the line or die. Every leader in Africa has got 2 choices to make: toe the line or die. If you choose the people, you die. That's why he's not a fool. Do you think Joseph Kabila is a fool? He's not a fool. He knows that the moment he chooses the people, they are going to hunt him down like a mouse. He's going to be killed. So the people who control the resources of the world do not want you, Simpiwe, as a leader, to choose the people. Because the moment you choose the people, they stand to lose. We have the post-imperial military complex in America, which manufactures all the weapons, the sophisticated weapons, all these armed groups are using. How do you think the armed groups in the DRC are receiving, are being supplied? They don't manufacture weapons. No armed group has a factory of manufacturing weapons. How do you think they get their weapons from? It's like asking the ISIS, where does the ISIS get their weapons that enable them to take over entire regions in Syria? We know who is supplying ISIS. It's the United States of America. And it has been like that for so many centuries. The armed groups that are terrorizing the DRC are being supplied by America through the United Nations. How do arms get into DRC? They can only get through the borders, through the cover of diplomatic cover.
Say, for argument's sake, that his chosen or anointed successor, Mr. Shadari, loses the election. Do you think it just let it go like that? What's likely to happen? What's he likely to do?
Joseph Kabila is playing a game of chess. He is being backed up by the people who have control over the mineral resources in the DRC. He has signed an immunity, an amnesty with those people. That's why he doesn't care. Whether you threaten him or not, he knows he has got backers. So he's negotiating his exit package. The choice of Shadari is an exit deal for Joseph Kabila. Shadari will continue the same regime that Joseph Kabila has been involved in. These people have got their own armed groups. The ruling party in the DRC has its own armed group outside the national army. The armed group gets supplied by the national army. The other armed groups get supplied by Rwanda and Uganda. So you can see that we are talking about a state.
So are you insinuating that they will be making use of those armed groups that I've just mentioned, should they lose the election?
There is no way that Shadari is going to lose the elections. If you understand what I'm saying, is we must try as black people to listen to what is not being said, because we are too preoccupied with listening to what is coming from these leaders' mouths. Listen to their body language. What is the body language of Joseph Kabila now? What is he not saying through his mouth that his body is trying to communicate to you?
What makes you think that he'll claim victory in this election? I mean, so many polls have indicated that the leading contender, the opposition leader, will have a clear lead.
There have been 4 polls from 2016. The first poll was in October 2016, which put Moise Katumbi at 33%. Etienne Tshisekedi at 18% and Kabila at 7.8%. Kabila came last. The second poll by the CRIG and Betsy was in May 2017, which put Moise Katumbi again at 38%. It put Felix Tshisekedi, the son of Etienne Tshisekedi, after his father had passed on. He came at number 3. Kabila came at number 2 at 10%. There were 3 other candidates that came at number 4 with 5 each. These are John Pierre Bemba, Vital Kamehe, and the other guy who is Felix. So they came at number 4. But if you look at all these opinion polls, they were putting Kabila last, which shows that he didn't have that support from the grassroots. He was losing the support from the first poll in 2016. If you look at the polls, if we read something from the polls, it suggests that Kabila doesn't have that grassroots support in the DRC. But forget about the polls. It's never about the opinion polls. When it comes to crucial elections that decide who is going to be the next bunch of thieves to take over from the other bunch of thieves, it has to do with the balance of forces on the ground. And the balance of forces on the ground has got nothing to do with the electorate. The balance of forces on the ground has got everything to do with the power brokers. And who are the power brokers? It's the multinational corporations. The multinational corporations that have propped up Kabila there. The guys who rule the world, who are sitting in Washington, D.C., in Paris, in Champs-Élysées, and in England, they're the ones who benefit from the resource extraction in the DRC. And they'll make sure that if Shadari continues to toe the line that Jose Kabila taught, he's going to be protected, he's going to be propped up, until the day he decides to choose the people. That will be the day that Shadari will be punished with sanctions. Any analyst that walks in this studio and does not take the African people back to where it all started is wasting our time. An analyst should be able to show the people of Africa the demon trapped in the piano. African people already know what is happening in the DRC. They already know how many candidates contested the election.
I mean, Edward, you keep on saying that Kabila is forced to not to choose the people. If he chooses the people, he will be killed. Who? By who? Does he have any handlers? And if so, who are these handlers?
Simpiwe. Tonight I speak to Africa. I've always come here as an analyst, but tonight I'll be forced to don all three hats: as a leader of the African Renaissance Project, as an Africa analyst, as an academic. But as leader of the African Renaissance Project, I'm telling Africa tonight that the people who have captured our leaders and are holding them hostage are the very people who, through the organized despoliation of the Atlantic slave trade, trafficked our men and women from Africa across the Atlantic to the Caribbean and the South America. They are the same people through later on, after realizing that slave trade was not benefiting them, they sent armies to fight the planters in South America and pitted black slaves against the slaves who had defected to the English army. Black people killed each other.
Well, the gist of my question, Edward, is that, I mean, since you keep on saying that should Mr. Shadari win, he will not make the mistake of choosing the people. Mr. Kabila, as you said, that he did not choose the people, or else if he did choose the people, he'll be killed. Who are these people?
Simpiwe, the people who have kept Africa in a stranglehold and in bondage are the same people who run the military-industrial complex in America. These people are the people who run the Central Intelligence Agency in America. They control. That's why our leaders are not fools. Our leaders, do you think our leaders are fools? Do you think, do you think people like Paul Kagame are foolish? Do you think they don't know? They know, but who wants to die? They know. They know how the system works. They know how the international governance system works. Cyril Ramaphosa is not a fool. He knows. That's why, because you're too consumed with Omunye Peskomunye.
Well, you don't have much time. You know, President Joseph Kabila has made it clear that he does not want any external influence in these particular elections, no foreign aid that he will be receiving. And the But to an extent that some of the election observers have been stuck in hotels and not being able to go about doing their jobs in observing the elections. So to what extent do you think SADC and AU influence will go insofar as making sure that there is a peaceful transfer of power?
If you ask me, I'll tell you that he's choosing the right cause. If only he had the best intentions for the people of the DRC and Africa. By cutting the umbilical cord with the European Union, he is on the right course. That's what we have always advocated, that African solutions to African problems should be the way forward. The only worry I have is I do not know his intentions, because we can celebrate that decision when at the back of his mind he is motivated by greed and self-aggrandizement. But if his intention is to see the final liberation of the DRC, it is the best course of action. We cut the umbilical cord with the European Union, cut the umbilical cord with Belgium, cut the umbilical cord with the CIA. DRC will be fixed. If we fix the DRC, Africa will be liberated. As I said last month, all the mischief...
How can the DRC be fixed? Just briefly.
The DRC will be fixed when the people of Africa realize that we need solidarity. We cannot fight the enemy as balkanized as we are. Okay. Individually, the separate African states cannot face the CIA, cannot face the military-industrial complex in America. We need to come together as Africa and launch an all-out war against the enemy.